Happy Wednesday, halfway through the week. Barely see Zilby wanted some pets this morning. Asitsu, hello. Are you done, Zilby? Oh, you spotted the toys on the desk. That's why. Sitsu, how are you doing today? How's your week been? Oh, it's frozen. From like early this morning when I tested it out. Hold on. I can fix that. Do you want me to throw? You've been busy, you paused development to move on to some networking. Is it like human networking or like actual IT networking? Both can be fun, both can be exhausting in different ways. IT networking, switches, network diagrams, all the fun stuff. So I found that like that kind of stuff is really fun to me for a period of time. Eventually it wears off and then it becomes like, okay, I'm done with this. I can move on now. Demolroy, hello, good morning. How are you doing today? Zilby. Okay, you want another toy? It's gonna get this mousy. You're doing well. You made some great progress on your Apple Spotify playlist transfer tool this morning. Nice, excellent. And I'm always like one up for the working on this type of stuff in the morning. Before work, it's the best time. We have the most energy. Even if our brains are like having a little bit of trouble from sleep things. One more. He's doing half of the fetch. He's not bringing it back right now. Sometimes Zilby has brought back the toys, but not recently. You're now making the terrible decision to consider looking into building a network monitoring tool in, you guessed it, Rust. You might have a problem. That is a problem that I share. And I resolve that by adding it to a list, which then never gets done. You found a great joy for waking up early and just having a few hours to have coffee and work on open source software. Yeah, I mean it's the same thing here, right? It's like, okay, I wake up early and I get go into like the basement, so like the special room, and hang out with you all and work on stuff. And then the rest of the day, regardless of what happens, I get to feel, well, I accomplished something. Like I did something. I made some kind of forward progress in my life. There's a book called Deep Work, which I haven't read. It's on my list to do a read, which I am so far behind on my reading list. But Deep Work supposedly talks about this very thing, where it's like, okay, you find out when you have the most energy, which for a lot of people is going to be in the morning. Even if you're not a morning person, morning is like relative here. It's like basically shortly after you wake up, before you do work, you're going to have a lot of like energy. Use that on the most important things in your life. Oh, Stacking, good morning. How are you doing? And you have a link to SniffNet. It's I'm guessing that's a Rust-based tool, and the dev is getting fully paid by Google to work on it. Nice. Yeah, 100% Rust with 1.8% text. Hey, oh, you brought the toy back. Okay, hold on. You dropped onto the desk. I swear, half the time he doesn't bring it back because I keep on hitting the wall when I throw it. Okay, let's try this again. There'll be. I mean, so this looks pretty cool. Looks like it's available on everything, so it's a little bit farther along too. Nice. Yes. I have one more toy for you. I have a ping pong ball with some feathers in it. Which, of course, I hit the edge of the door facing me. Oh, okay. He might be happy with it still. He didn't really look into it, but figured it was like Wireshark. Need to create a graph of every device on the network. I wanna. Didn't this look like I can create graphs? I don't know if it's like every device on the network, but I wonder if you can. Yeah, I wonder if you can filter by that. Interesting. I don't know. It's been forever. So when I was doing network stuff, I didn't get into the monitoring part. I was all in like the configuration and setup. And of course I got a CCNA, so I learned the Cisco stuff, not like, open source stuff. Oh, hey. Oh, you're frozen again? Hi. All right. What are we doing? Okay, so you're crashing for reasons. Oh, right, because we looked at errors immediately after we started working on this, didn't we? Okay. So we got in here, we've got, yep, do the thing. Yeah, that's what we got. So we started chatting about that immediately. It makes me wonder. When I'm figuring this out, I wonder if The only problem about using the cargo temp crate for like something like this is that I might take more than one day. And Zellage doesn't survive reboots yet. You know, if Zellage survive reboots, I might be able to convince Cargo Temp that it hasn't really restarted, and then it won't die, it won't kill itself yet. So I guess until then, we'll continue on with sort of like this style. All right, we're creating a Axum, essentially Hello World. And I have air. This air. I don't think I need this air. I have Tokyo. Okay, so I can remove this air. What am I doing? Why am I doing git switch? I want a CD. I think one problem about in the morning though is like it takes a little bit of time for my brain to wake up and it's like, okay, what am I doing again? Focus time? Yeah. So let's see. I want to go out of course articles, out of Brooks builds into playgrounds. And then Axum path. Do cargo add. All right, so we have that. I have air. We have. I want tracing. I want. Oh, I can only do one at. I can only easily do one at a time, I think. Oh, we have this. That does everything we need. Maybe it does everything we need right there. King, hello. How are you doing today? It's going pretty well. We just started. We had some fun playing with Zilby. And that camera is like crashing slash... Oh wait, it wasn't crashing. That was just literally what he looked like. Okay. That camera has been like giving me trouble. But I think it's not the camera, I think it's OBS. I don't know what to do about that. It feels like OBS in Windows is having a lot of trouble recently. And it makes me wonder whether or not I should switch back and try streaming out of the Mac again. Just for a little bit, until I can debug what's going on with Windows. Or maybe I can reinstall OBS, I'm not sure. I don't want to rebuild Windows computer. Kukma, hello. How are you doing today? Just rewrite OBS and Rust. Of course. Why didn't I think about that? That's of course the best plan. Let's see. Can't actually create things easily here, so let's do that here. All right, so head into source. I want to RS. I want to routes. And then we'll create a path, but later. WD-40. No. You need to think of the bigger picture. Rewrite Windows instead. Isn't there an operating system being written in Rust already? Like that's as close as we can come to like rewriting Windows, right? It's like Rust OS, right? Or is it? It's a working title, right? It's been a long time, so I haven't been on the subreddit. Well, I haven't been on Reddit at all. So all my news for Rust is now coming from you all and from like the various discords that I'm on. But none of them really talk about the operating system anymore. That one there, like every week or 2 weeks or every month, there was like a report of like, hey, it's still happening. Oh, you think Microsoft said they had like 10% of the Windows kernel fully converted to Rust? Okay, so basically, if we want to rewrite Windows in Rust, the current method of doing that is just to get a job as a Rust developer at at Microsoft. You don't want to go there. Every time you visit, you seem to end up being mad at someone. It's it does feel like these days we need to keep a tighter hand, tighter grip on our like emotional states, because like it's so easy to just like go and see things as like what stop or change or be different or whatever. You're doing it wrong. All right, I think I like to create the routes first with these, so we're gonna do that. No, we're gonna do this first. Okay, from news. New Windows 11 build ships with more Rust-based kernel features. What is this? It's from July. The latest Windows 11 build shipping to insiders in the Canary channel comes with the additional Windows kernel components rewritten in a memory safety focused Rust programming language. So Win32 Kbase RS sys. Interesting. So that's going to be their naming system. So I suppose if this is going to be their naming system where you can like search for _RS, that could be interesting. Xanax, hello. You're still at work, but still you're here. Well, hopefully your day at work is going well. The GDI regions feature, now rewritten Rust, contains functions that can be used to create rectangles, polygons, or ellipses, or combinations of these shapes. Oh, you have a team grill party, so you have free food, and it's probably like a grill is usually going to be good food too, or at least good tasting food. So it looks like they're doing some really interesting things. I couldn't. The fact that they're doing some of the graphical stuff with like rectangles, polygons, and ellipses. Like these are the shapes that literally are used to create everything. You need these everywhere, and then the combination of them, like that's how you make all the things. So that feels pretty huge. They're deprecating ARM, but I don't know if that has anything to do with the Rust stuff. Because like Rust can be compiled for ARM, so that's probably something else. So it's interesting stuff. You never confirmed it, but you remember an Azure Kubernetes service ending with RS, and I always wondered if Microsoft used Rust for it. I wouldn't be surprised if I remember correctly, and of course, this could be me like spreading horrible rumors, but I vaguely remember that Azure was one of the first places that Microsoft was advertising jobs for. You're not sure about Azure, but I know the VM for edge nodes for AWS is fully Rust. You forgot the name of the project. Maybe that's what that was. I just vaguely remember it was like, okay, Microsoft is hiring for Rust, and it was like that was big news, right? Because that was like one of the first big, companies that were like hiring for Rust developers, and then it was like something to do with Azure. Nobody ever knew what, because that's like all secret stuff when you're hiring for like super low levels things. But everybody was fully guessing like it's just something to make things faster, better, stronger, whatever. Let's see. Oh, and then a link to Amazon. Oh yeah. They've been Amazon's been updating the thing that they use behind the scenes for Lambda, right? Is Firecracker their Lambda stuff? Oh, and then Fargame here. Let's see. Firecracker, a new virtualization technology that makes use of KVM. Okay. Yeah, so Firecracker has already been path tested and is already powering multiple high volume services like Lambda and Fargate. Okay. And then is Firecracker 100% Rust, or is it just mostly Rust? I don't remember anymore. I remember like reading about these a long time ago, and then just went straight out the brain. So these are all pretty cool. These are all things that I might have to learn if I were to get a some kind of I don't know, certification for AWS, which I've thought about in the past of getting, and then I just never do it. I think it's fully Rust. You thought it would have been talked about. Yeah, let's see. Am I just missing it? I'm as most of you who have like watched me all the time know, I am terrible at reading things. I like skip over stuff. Okay, here we go. Here's Rust. Firecracker is written in Rust, a modern programming language that guarantees thread safety and, blah blah blah. It's fascinating to me the little blurb that they always include about Rust, and which specific things they focus about. So in this case, it's buffer overrun errors. If it isn't in the first sentence, it doesn't exist. I used to be so upset at people that didn't read emails or didn't read things fully, and now look at me now. I don't read anything. I've turned into that type of user that I hated when I was a sysadmin. Oi, Zilby has not been staring blankly at the camera for this amount of time. He actually did put his head down. It's just the camera or OBS. RTFM. I know. It's like, oh, yeah. That's a thing. Okay, so I want to do route. Let's do a layer because we have the things we need to do here. So we want a tower HTTP trace layer, new for HTTP. Okay, so that's happy there. Let's go back to lib. I wonder if I should make a repo for this, and then I can use the generate command for it. Because isn't there like a create generate where I can create a new project from a GitHub repo pretty easily? That might be something to look into. Don't remind me that I have plans to write my own generate tool. I thought about it and I was like, no, I'm too busy for that. Like I keep on thinking, okay, I want to do this. I want to do all these things. And then I don't have time to. Let's see. So we got that stuff. Okay, so then I want probably a run. Oh, this is gonna be async. We need the socket adder. And then I think we just run the thing, right? I keep on doing this. Whenever things don't work right, it's because I like did something silly, like forgot that. I forgot. I'm gonna wait. You like the sound of cargo generate, but you don't like the templating system. You want that flexibility, but you also want your project to actually function and compile so you know the CI is configured correctly. What's the tool? I don't know if it's still like super popular anymore, but there was a code generation tool in Node that everybody was using for a while. It was Yeoman. Yeoman. Is Yeoman style what you're thinking about? Because it actually, that was like slightly different. It was like a lot more involved. People were using Yeoman for non-Node and JavaScript based apps. Like you could spin up. I remember early on hearing that people were like, "Oh yeah, spin up your Rust based app with like a Yeoman template." You forgot about Yeoman, and yeah, I just okay. Yeah. So for those of you who are not familiar with Yeoman, for better or for worse, you never used it. Okay, let's see if I can remember. Thank you for spelling it correctly for me. I probably would have started with O. So it was like Node Yeoman, but it's pronounced Yeoman. Template. Let's see if we can find it. They have so many templating systems in here. So creating a generator, I mean, is pretty simple. Yeah, you go through and you basically say, you just tell it what's going on. They have an entire Yeoman template for getting started, but using it is pretty simple. I don't even know why they need an 8-step tutorial for this. It's much simpler than I think what they're talking about. Okay, yeah, literally its step is like set up your dev environment, install a Yeoman generator. Okay, so installing so you install the generator, and then what you can do is you can say, okay, it'd be easier for me to just install it and play with it. This one, I think. Okay, you run yo again and see your generator. So like, there's a lot of steps. It's not that fun, but it's not directly from GitHub, at least as far as I can tell. It's like from npm, so it's like a fully deployed something, which means that it can be tested with CI and CD. So I could imagine something like this that pulls templates from crates. This tool is why every Node tool switched to Golang to make a basic CLI, and thank God for that. It has a wizard. So it just basically walks you through and says, okay, you want a JavaScript framework. All right, I want React. Okay, what do you want to do? And it was like, okay, just give me an MVC. Like, give me a full, just do the entire thing for me. And it's like, okay, here you go. And so like, you can set up inside of the template different pathways for your code. And so those would then result in questions at runtime. So like, for example, if I wanted to do a project with Axum, it might be, okay, is this a Is this just a JSON API, or is this serving a web application? I'm like, okay, well, I'm serving a web application. It's like, okay, are you serving a U application? Are you serving a Leptos application? Are you serving a none of the above application, or something else? And then each one of those would run different code gens inside of, the actual template. And at the very end, it would just create the files and folder structures. So it's a cool tool, but it is a bit much. I think it's a bit much to create a template. And I'm perfectly happy if somebody were to make a better generate tool in Rust. I'll use that. Cargo generate has an example, but the cargo.toml uses a placeholder for the project name, meaning if I create a template repo and include CI, it would break. Yeah, so I think that's actually something that's really cool in Yeoman, is that you can put like handlebars type stuff inside of every single file, which means that you can change the name of the project, you can change all the stuff, and it then would work in CI/CD. So it sounds to me like what you want to build is something slightly more complex and a little bit closer to Yeoman than cargo generate. But you probably don't need to go that far towards it. All right, so in main, we're gonna get server. Oh, it supports all of that. You think you want something a bit simpler, actually. Oh, okay. Simpler is good too. Simpler probably means it won't break as often. You think scaffolding tools are kind of dead and every project is happy to just make a basic CLI tool and call it a day? That's also true. Every project now made their own CLI tool, and now you don't need some third-party scaffolding tool to muck it up for you. But everything old is new again. I'm sure it will come back. There's the so I watched one season. I watched the first season of what's the name of the hacker TV show? I'm trying to think of like how I can describe it without spoiling it for anybody. Mr. Robot. Yes, that's it. Mr. Robot's got the like one hacker program of doom where he goes on to any computer, installs this program, and then runs it, and it does everything he wants it to do. And that sort of like reminds me of like the Yeoman template or something else. It's basically, it's a wrapper around every hacking tool that he probably ever found, and then just, it interfaces into them. So it's like, okay, you want to create an Axum server? All right, well, let me run my one program that does that. That one program also does ping tests. That one program also does network, investigations, and then also something else. Oh, with Python. Yeah, I'd never really looked too closely at the code. I always just figured it would just piss me off. So I usually try not to look at the code in TV shows. He was really good at acting it. In fact, it was so good that I was getting stressed out watching it, so I couldn't continue watching the series. Like, I watched the first season, I'm like, okay, I cannot do a second season of this right now in my life. I already have too much stress from everything else. One of the best TV shows ever. I mean, it did feel really good. It just, yeah. That show was totally unbelievable. Not a single scene of two people using the same keyboard. Most of the newer shows have at least someone semi-technical to go on get and copy code. It won't be code that has anything to do with that, but they're doing, but will be valid code. Oh yeah. I should. I'll try to pay attention to code. I don't watch too many like those drama things though. We need like comedy or like lighthearted stuff these days. Even Oppenheimer, he played a role with only a few lines, but my god, his impact on the story and delivery. I haven't watched Oppenheimer again because like the stress type thing. Like I need, I have too much stress right now in my life. I like and that type of stuff. Like, is it? It's not really like stressful, but it's dramatic in that way that I need to like take time to recover from, like really internalize, and I just need more fun stuff right now in my life. I think that's where I am right now. It's on my backlog of list of someday definitely gonna have to watch this. But I would much rather watch Barbie movie and just turn my brain off than something and just like actually, have it affect me. Okay, so if I have okay, I don't care about this. Why did I say that I'm returning a result from main? I'm not doing that. Oh, that was before when we were testing stuff. Because I was thinking, like, I never do that. Why would I do that? Okay, we're doing this. This is fine. Okay, so that starts up my server. So there is that. Which means I should be able to hit this. We have Rapid API. We can use that for our testing here. You feel the same way you and your wife used to binge Black Mirror the second it got released, but after everything that's been going on, we just have zero interest. Yeah, it's a thing because there's so many good stuff out right now. And we just don't have the mental capacity for it. All right, if I do that, then we get 404 not found. Okay, so good. In Rapid API, can I change the interface size? Is that a thing I can do? Preferred font. I can do size 44. This is not size 44. So no is the answer. Oh, this is size. The only thing in here that actually respects that size is the preview down here. That's not cool. There's a meme about C++ programmer is Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner, and Rust programmer is Gosling in Barbie. Oh, that sounds a lot funnier. A normal dev, hello. How are you doing today? You have Rapid API open right now, trying to query some networking devices. I like Rapid API. It's really nice, especially like I used to use Postman all the time, but Rapid API feels like old Postman, like back before it was really trying to make money. Like trying too hard to make money, if that makes sense. But the problem is that if I want to share it with you, I literally can't increase the size of this window. So you can't see it. Which kind of sucks. You really love Insomnia for a Rust client. That sounds familiar. I wonder if I looked at this in some way. Like, for some reason, this is like tripping the familiarity in my brain.
Major run. No one had a run like Grimes. No one.
Okay. Sure, we can try it. Okay, free. If I use it myself. Sure, download it. It sounds familiar because you have trouble sleeping. I've been getting better. I have been getting better with sleeping. Okay, Insomnia Core. Oh, here's why it sounds familiar. An older item named Insomnia already exists in your computer when I'm trying to install it. Well, there you go. Okay, just replace it. New version. All right. Well, that explains why it looks familiar. Insomnia. Yes, go ahead and open it. All right, here's what that looks like. Now, if I try to make this bigger, ooh, everything does, and they know how to code interfaces that increase in size. Nice. Okay, so if I want to do a GET request, so let's new. How do I just do a simple GET request? Do I have to do a new collection? I have to do a collection. Aren't they all Electron? Let's see if they hid the. This is definitely Electron. I can get into the editor tools. You can't hide that. If you're using Electron, you can tell that to not be able to be opened up. Andrew, hello. You use Insomnia? Nice. Okay, so I have to create a new collection. So this one will be, I don't know, path. Okay. New request. New request. We're gonna do a get localhost port 3000. So if I just do that, I should get a 404 not found. Okay, excellent. Any of these apps using Electron should have zooming, but Rapid API is native, so it doesn't support it. Ah, okay. A normal dev use the bleeding edge technology called curl. Curl is nice. I use it for simple GET requests, and then once I get to more complex things, especially if I need to do like post requests where I like need to pass in some kind of object, I get too impatient to create the JSON, so I just don't. And then I don't want to have to like add in the headers on like all the stuff myself too. So I just skip it. It was on my list to write a wrapper for curl in Rust, so that way I can like just do like simple things and like basically have like a very basic version of this in the CLI. And then it's like, The one thing you like about Insomnia is being able to program grabbing the JOT token, inserting it into the header so you don't have to manually do it every 5 seconds. Oh, it allows that? You can write like scripts inside of here. Well, that's cool. Workspaces are nice and gooey. Yeah, like there are nice things when we use modern. I guess like curl has been kept up to date. It's not like curl has been sitting there languishing. It's more of modern design has some niceties. Insomnia has a bunch of really nice macro type functionality, handles environments really nicely. Well, we'll play around with Insomnia for a little bit. See how we like it. All right. So we have here our basic hello world, or it's not this isn't even hello world. This is just, I guess, our basic whatever, like app, Axum app. I don't know. My brain blanked out on what I wanted to actually say there. So let's not worry about it. Next thing is we're gonna start working on paths. This is server exited. Yeah. Okay. Let's then the article. Okay, we're gonna start working on the article next. So I don't think I have anything with path in here, right? Yeah. So I need to create one, and of course, how easy would it be for me to? Oh, I can do. Okay, so I can do a new buffer, and we're going to write this buffer to Axum path. Okay. Twitch has that bug again where it gets stuck on the unfollow tab, and then every time you hit enter in chat, it tries to unfollow. Oh, that's fun. No clue how they introduce that bug every month. I haven't seen that, but you know what? You know what? The reason why I haven't seen that is because I spend most of my time on Twitch on mobile. So, of course I'm not going to see that bug. That feels weird. Like they're resetting your focus somehow. I wonder if the unfollow button is the first element in the HTML. And so therefore, when everything resets, the browser is going to say, hey, we're just going to start on their first element again. And then they move it around. I remember Twitch used to be written in Ember, and then they rewrote from Ember into React? Something like that. I don't remember what it is anymore. You have a bug when in need to press follow, unfollow 10 times for it to do something. Oh, interesting. At least they put alert on the unfollow now, so you can't keep unfollowing people by accident. That is a way to fix bugs. Like when you have some kind of bug, you can fix the end result by just having a confirm. And it's like, okay, well, the problem solved. People aren't unfollowing by accident anymore. It's like, yeah, but they're still pressing the unfollow button by accident. It's like, yeah, but the end result is different, so we're fine. Unfortunately, looking at it from the business side, the metrics probably changed enough that you're like, okay, we don't need to spend more time on this problem. We have bigger fish to fry. All right, so what do we want to do? We want to say handling. Axum path variables. So objectives. Okay, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to extract path variables in a route handler. You will be able to, I mean, there's not really much more to do with that, right? Do I want to maybe describe what path variables are? So what are path variables and how to get them? Probably something like this. So this is probably going to be a relatively short one then. Okay, so we'll probably have something like, what are path variables? And then extracting path variables. So I played around and I got a markdown with a video working, and it's interesting. It looks like Markdown doesn't allow you to embed videos in them. Not normal Markdown. So if I want to embed a video in it, I'm gonna have to write my own Markdown parser, which is probably something I'm going to have to do eventually. Not right now, but eventually. So until then, I found out that every YouTube video has a JPEG that you can use, at least one JPEG that you can use, which is the, I think it's like the title or just some random frame that they chose that they think is really good. And so you can basically create an image. Doesn't just support HTML. I don't know. I guess I didn't really try, did I? I should actually try and see what happens. What I ended up doing was here, the prerequisites. I ended up doing this. You can embed YouTube inside of Markdowns. This is the embed that I found when I did a Google search, but I didn't try that hard. So maybe I just didn't do it right. So if I open this up, I think it's learning. Yeah, learning. So I got it as a prerequisite here. So we have our Axum prerequisites, and I realized that the image that Google chose, it's a little bit interesting. Probably should control that, but okay, I have to do the JPEG. Okay. So this is what I've got right now, which is, this is a link, this is a JPEG that links to a Markdown. I bet this is the Stack Overflow I looked at. This is not the Stack Overflow that I looked at. I found a different one. But it had the exact same thing here. Where, okay, I do it, you do an alt image, and then something else. I think the big thing is that YouTube doesn't let you do just embedded videos. because they're not really embedded videos, they're iframes to like a full web page that just has the video itself. I think that's where the real problem is. If I had an actual video file separately, I think that might be a slightly different situation. YouTube.md. Okay, yeah. So we have Markdown style, HTML style, but I think that's going to be the same thing. Embed thumbnail, resize thumbnail. Yeah, but it's going to be the same thing no matter what. So, it sucks. But if I create a Markdown parser, like my own Markdown parser, as opposed to just using a standard one, then I can basically use a special tag that I create in Markdown for videos, for YouTube videos, and then it will create the appropriate embed link. It really depends on a parser. Using many support raw HTML, so regular video embed should work, because it's not a regular embed, because it's an iframe. The true problem is the iframe, because I know the cool new thing is for Git to have tutorial videos. I think it is the iframe. It's because Google doesn't let you have the video. Google lets you have an iframe of the entire video page that the video then runs in, because they want to control that experience completely. So that's a thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the video here, essentially. Let's do video section here, and then I'll put that down. I really wish that Helix had some kind of snippet system that I can store them long term, which I don't think I can do. So I wanted to come here, grab this. I'm gonna put you there, and then so this is gonna be okay. So how do I want to do this? So you're gonna be the alt description. You're the video ID. You're also the video ID. And then you're the title. Okay, so I'll come back here and do that later. You can still embed an iframe if your parser supports HTML and doesn't strip out certain tags. I can't remember what I used anymore. It's a good question. What did I use? It's probably easier for me to just come back into here. Let's go find it. This is it, right? So I have my playwright stuff, have all of you. Okay, I want to go into, I want to say that I brought it into index.html, and this is one of my weird wrapper things that I'm using. Marked. I think I'm using marked. So marked. Do you have like a search function? No? Oh, it looks like they have extensions and other things. So if it doesn't exist already, I could add it, I bet. I can't like search for anything. Okay, we have demo page. Oh, cool. So I can actually like play around with stuff. So what if okay, let's go to YouTube. Here's my introduction to Axum video. Stop. Okay, I want to share use. Let's do the embed code. This doesn't have like an auto copy. Okay, come on. Copy that. So if I just delete all of you and we throw you in here, an error occurred. Okay, so it doesn't like that. And then what we've been doing is this style. This is that, where I would then say, I believe this is the ID. So I would say you, video ID there, video ID there. So there's that. I'm not really sure what else I would do for this to make it work. It didn't filter it out though, so it probably doesn't work because the demo is already using an iframe. Oh, interesting. So potentially it could work. Okay, I'll try that. I'll try that the next time. I'll try the actual embed HTML iframe thing. See if that's any better. Because if that just works, that's obviously better. I'll do try YouTube embed code here. Okay. What are path variables? Let's see. Path variables. Path variables are pieces of data, are like state. Or I guess maybe we should like even start with a question. So are several ways we can pass data into into an API server like Axum. Path variables are one of the are, I guess, like is a method that works regardless of what type of request. Work for all types of requests, regardless if there is a body or not. Have you ever seen the question mark something equals something equals something else, something, and then here, like value? Wait. No, wait. I'm getting this confused. This is not a path variable. I'm describing a query parameter. Never mind. This is wrong. All right. Path variables. All right. Path variables are literally just okay, settings. So path variables allow us to use the path of the URL. So path variables allow us to use the path of URL to like send state. No, to state is the query parameter. I want to use this for like determining, for dynamically set up routes. For example, if we have an API to if we have an API to like I don't know, handle feeding cats. We might want to like start feeding a cat with the following path. Following route command. So we do something like slash cats 45 feed or something like that. Okay. Want to tell the automatic feeder for with an ID of 45 to feed its cat. But what if we have like hundreds, thousands, millions of cat feeders? It's not a good idea to create routes manually for these for every possible option. instead, we want to have part of the path be a variable that we can handle all of the options. I guess like handle anything that gets passed in. Is that good enough of a description for this? Is there a way for me to tell the like a video source to restart without deactivating it? I probably can do that, right? All right, so there are several ways that we can pass data into an API server like Axum. Path variables work for all types of requests, regardless if there is a body or not. Path variables allow us to use the path of the URL to dynamically set up routes. For example, if we have an API to handle feeding cats, so maybe I should like update this a little bit. You don't want to worry me, but my cat might be magic because it just suddenly it teleported to different directions. Yeah, cats do that. It's a normal cat thing. Don't worry about it. Cats can teleport. For example, if we have an okay, let me change this. So if we have a if we're creating an API to manipulate to tell automatic pet feeders, so like automatic food dispensers. So maybe we'll just say like for example, let's say, maybe not even for example, like let's say that we are creating a API to control automatic feeders for cats. These feeders are cloud-based, so we have access. So we're going to be controlling hundreds, if not thousands, of feeders to tell one feeder to dispense some food. Feed to food. Food, feed, food. Food. To tell one feeder to dispense some food, we might send a command, post a request, like a post to Pat's 45 feet. We are telling the automatic feeder with an ID of 45 to feed its cat. But what if we have, so I already mentioned that, so. However, it's not a good idea to create routes manually for every possible option. We also don't want to like write a loop to create a route for each possible feeder. Instead, we want to have instead we want to extract. Okay, so we want to extract the 45 into a variable. So it's really the feeder ID into a variable so that we can so that the router doesn't need to be aware of how many cat feeders exist. I don't even think it needs to know what the IDs look like, or what the IDs even look like. Extracting. Let's see. Axum, is there a name for the standard? Is there a name for the standard that allows you to do something like colon ID? Because I see this in like almost every single front end framework that's being used. I don't know if that's like an actual standard, or if that's a pattern, or if it's just what everybody uses. If that has a nice, clever, like a good name, then I can use that here. Otherwise, so I never actually looked that up. I don't really know where to find that either. Where do they even have it? They don't even have that here. Is it in... Well, this is routing. Router, maybe? Captures. Okay, path can contain segments like key. Okay, which will match any single segment and will store the value captured at key. Captures can be extracted using path. All right, so it's named captures here. Let's go to most likely the thing that everybody is going to be looking at it coming from. So express, what do you call it? So in a router, that's it's not necessarily what I'm looking for here. Because we have router. I don't think application is going to help either. Maybe getting started. Basic routing. URL segments is the name that we're looking for. Okay. So in that case, I probably can go to Wikipedia. URL segments. There we go. A path component consisting of a sequence of path segments separated by a slash. Ah, okay. So each part of this thing is a segment. Even if it's not captured, it is a segment. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't specifically. The router side, it would be a key segment, which I think that's what this called it, right? Key, which does that. Doesn't say. Captures can be extracted using paths. That's capturing with a key, but not helpful. So that actually doesn't say that it's like a key segment or not. It just says it's a capture. Okay, so routing here from Express. You define routing using methods of the Express app object that correspond to HTTP methods. For example, app.get to handle GET requests and app.post, blah, blah, blah. Okay. These routing methods specify a callback function. Okay, yeah, great. Yes, I get it. I don't care about the callbacks. Route methods. Route paths. Route paths in combination with a request method define the endpoints at which requests can be made. Route paths can be strings, string patterns, or regular expressions. This is just saying route path. This doesn't even use. Okay, route parameters. Okay, here we go. Route parameters are named URL segments. Okay, so it's actually using the right terminology for that. That are used to capture the values specified at their position in the URL. The captured values are populated. Okay, so it's a capture. I understand we kind of bitch about the lack of docs on the Rust side, but we also kind of have to bitch about the lengthy docs on the other side. Yes. Or like the worst ones are the lengthy docs that look amazing that don't say anything at all, that don't help in any way. Okay, so they don't use anything like capture or anything like that. They do use the word captures, so I could probably use that word, and people, I mean, most likely people won't have actually read through this. Just Control F and type the key like a normal person. Okay, I will. Capture. These are the only two times that's there. Key. Keys is also here, and that's also the only place it is. You were thinking of URA templates, but as something else with its own format. You don't see a standard for this. Okay, so I think that segment is the only standard. So the word segment. So, what are path variables? So, I feel like I also need to add in what the describe the parts of a URL. Express uses segment as the full path, and key is the URL, which is not right at all. Like that's key is the variable. I guess like key makes the most sense, but I don't think that's correct. Archification, or is it archification? That is tripping me up for some reason. I don't know why. Hello, good morning. How are you doing today? You just got here to the stream. Immediately, you seem so patient and friendly. I bet your team at work loves you. Assuming I code at work. I do code at work. I am. I do management and web dev. So I'm a management and I'm a manager of the web services team at my day job. And I would like to say that my team loves me, but as a manager, that gets dangerous territory when I start saying things like that. I'll just call. Okay, I can call you Arch. Most people do. All right. Well, Arch, welcome to the channel. Awesome to have you here. And also, I think I asked, but how's your day going? It's morning here, so I usually just ask everybody how their morning's going, even though I know a lot of people this time of day are going to be over on the other side of the world. And of course, Actix Web does its own thing. Okay, what does Actix Web say? Why did that not? Nope. Oh, no, don't download. There, I can control my mouse. Just mean you're probably a good manager as opposed to one of those toxic managers. I do try a lot. I spend a lot of time trying, and there's some people here who have heard me rant quite, several times about management and leadership here on the channel. I do try to learn proper leadership and management. It's fairly easy to become toxic. It's surprisingly easy. It's surprisingly easy to become toxic if you're trying to be good. It's sad. Okay, so this is web resource. Okay, and we also have Actix Web docs extractors. Do this one first. Creates a new resource for a specific path. Resources may have dynamic path segments. Okay, so at least we have segments, plural. Resources with the path that would match all incoming requests. Okay, yeah. A dynamic segment is specified in the form identifier. Okay, yeah. So at least they're using segment correctly, unlike Express, which uses segment to basically do the entire thing altogether. So that is good. Using I instead of we too often in presentations is the road to the dark side. I can see that. You go with the Axum terminology capture. I do like that. I I do like that capture. It's almost visceral in like I am grabbing something and taking a hold of it. It kind of feels like that. You've done some work with the Rocket framework before. You haven't tried Actix Web yet. What do I think about it so far? I really like it a lot. It's there's some. I think that the biggest sort of issue that Axum has is its lack of being like a 1.0. I think that's like the biggest thing right now. That's going to prevent it from really taking over with everything else. I do love like the way it feels, and it's just traits all the way down, so you get like the feeling of it being sort of like, okay, I can get whatever order that I want for all the, all my extractors. I can do like all this middleware is just really easy, and it just sort of works, and it's good. Does LAC 1.0 mean that breaking changes may occur? Absolutely yes. They made a change from 0.5 to 0.6, or is it 0.15 to 0.16? I can't remember. Something with a 5 to something with a 6, and that was a breaking change. That broke everybody's code. I had a course out on YouTube for the 5 version, and it was I think people have sort of figured it out now, but it was a big source of confusion for like, I don't know, half a year as people were going through it. Dottie, hello. How are you doing today? You just joined. Did I say I would recommend Actix over Axum? So I think it would depend, right? So there's a lot of it depends when it comes with web technology, especially like this. So if let's say at my day job, they said like, okay, you're allowed, like, I can use Rust, and we're gonna make a Rust web server system. Right now, I would choose Actix Web between the 3. Like if I was gonna choose between Rocket, Actix Web, and Axum, I would choose Actix Web because it's the most stable, and I have the most faith that I'm not going to have to go and update it that often to keep things up to date. Because at my work, stable is way more important than really cool features or more like, the really recent stuff. If it's for a personal project, I would choose Axum because I really enjoy working with Axum, and I'm okay with a little bit less stable stuff. It isn't really breaking because of Semver, but just the rate of change. Well, as we've learned recently in the ecosystem, it can be breaking, right? So if you just say I want like 0 star, or like the Semver is allowed to get those like patch requests, like some of the patches have broken stuff, I want to say. It gets weird because like not everybody agrees with like what Semver really means. Now, if it usually starts with a 0, all bets are off. Like there's no Semver for 0 essentially. So every change is a potentially breaking change, which kind of sucks. I wish that there was so NPM, I believe, does Semver for beta stuff better. You can actually have like 1.0.3, 2. Whatever. You can do all that stuff, and there's like a way to do like a B or something in front of it to say like this is the beta. This is like ahead of like a pre-release, and then when you go to 1.0, it's like it drops all the previous ones, and this is the new most recent one. I really like that method because then you can have proper Semver for pre-release. Walks over to C developer desk. You have to use Rust now. C dev wraps all of his C in Rust. This counts, right? Sure, yeah, of course. Oh, Zilby. Okay, we're gonna teleport the cat again. You just started with Rust and you made the leap using Axum for a personal project. You did find the unusual issue of there being many ways to do the same thing, so docs are a little sparse on direction. I think that's mostly from the docs only being like API docs, like the actual here's this method, how to use this method. There's very little here's like how to actually build a web application method. We were chatting a little bit earlier about how there's this sort of difference in the JavaScript ecosystem from the Rust ecosystem. Rust seems to be like just here's the stuff, go, and just like documentation is usually too sparse. And on the JavaScript side, it's like here's our documentation is like a blog style with way too many words, and in the end you don't even know what you're trying to do still. Like either way is too much or too little, and like you still don't get what you want out of it. I feel that way with like I feel that way between like Express and Axum. Like Axum's too little documentation, Express is too much. In the actual Semver standard, but Rust itself imposes those ideas, although perhaps not everyone realizes. Semver is really good. I really like Semver. And then it's just funny how it's just everybody does their own thing, and Rust doesn't actually impose Semver. Does Elm impose Semver? I remember one of the languages that compiles into JavaScript imposes Semver, and if you make a breaking change, it will like detect that when you compile and say, nope, this now has to be a like, .next one. You don't even have to worry about Semver. It just does it for you. What do I think would be the advantages or disadvantages between handling raw requests or even packets themselves with something like Warp or standard net versus a larger web framework? Does using a larger web framework ever feel limiting in some ways, although the abstraction can make it easier to write? For me, it's all about business logic. Is it easier for us and quicker for us to be able to get to the actual core business logic, or are we spending all of our time writing stuff that allows us to get to the business logic? Warp feels like we're really like writing stuff just to write stuff, and we're not necessarily spending time fixing or like doing the things that actually solve problems. And then eventually we get there and then we do that and it's like great, and then back to Warp again. So I feel that Warp is great as like a really tiny add-on to an existing project. So let's say I want to create some like really basic web interface or API as part of my other project that has nothing to do with that. Warp is probably fine in that case. For most APIs, I would say pull out the big guns. You looked at Rocket, and it also does its own thing with that for dynamic path segments. I guess doing it okay. So everybody does it. So I can't even use colon as a standard. That's cool. I need to get cargo semver checks in my CI once you have creates published. Yeah, there's some people that are working on some detections, but it's like if it's not built into the language, it's not going to be used completely, and if it's not used completely, we can't trust it in every app. Thank you, Arch. So it sounds like if a framework fits the core logic, then the framework should be used. Yeah, I think as developers, so this is something, being a manager and a developer is really interesting because I get to put both hats on and see things from both sides of the puzzle here. Both sides of the argument? I don't know. At the management side, all I want is the customer's problems to be solved, or the business problems to be solved quickly, as well, pretty much as quickly and as high quality as possible. As the developer, I really want to code. Like, I want to build really fun stuff. We were talking about like rebuilding things from scratch earlier. It's like, ooh, I want to build that. That sounds fun. Let's build it in Rust. Okay. But if I build it in Rust and there was another option that was just as good quality, and I could have done that, I could have solved the customer's problem like how many days beforehand by just pulling something out off the shelf. It's like, that's sort of like the idea here. If the framework even is not a 100% fit, but allows you to solve the problems faster, and it won't get in your way later and cause problems, use it. Okay, so everybody does their own thing. That's what we've learned. Everybody does their own thing, and nobody has. Very few people have any kind of common terminology. The only common thing is segment. Segment is the only thing that we've really seen. So what parts of the URL? So URL segments, or what is a URL? So a URL is a URL is, most of us are familiar with what a URL is. It's that long string with slashes, question mark, and other symbols of the browser, location bar, right? But when we're creating an API, it's helpful to make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to what makes up a URL. Before continuing. I don't know about that. I feel like that doesn't really make sense. URL is a string that points to a location on the internet. It's like a desktop shortcut, but instead of pointing to a file on the local machine, it points to a file on another machine. I feel like I would have to... See, that's the thing, is like, it doesn't point to the thing on the internet. It's more like a map that gives you directions to get there, but it's not there exactly. Cause like, no matter what, we're gonna have to do little lies, right? Because the internet's super. A URL can point to a file on a user's machine. Absolutely, yes. Well, okay. Then this gets into our thing. Should I be using URL or should I be using URI? Because technically, a URI points to a file on a user's machine. A URL points to a location on the internet. But it's not a specific location on the internet, because you don't know that, because there's like, the internet's changed. It's now no longer one server. There's so many things there. DNS is analogous to the back end of a shortcut system. Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite tricks is to use a load balancer to change to like make everything look like it's coming to one domain and doing one thing, but it's really like 4 or 5 different APIs or servers or anything else. It's really good for not microservices, but like mini web apps and breaking out web apps into its own thing. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole and get down to the IP level, which I don't want to get to. I don't, like that's like its own course. Like how the internet works could be, and often is, like in college, it's going to be its own course. Shall we explain an octet? Oh, no. Okay, everybody. To build our web app, we are going to learn how to be network admins. Level 1, we're going to craft a TCP message in the terminal and send it off, and then see whether or not there's a collision in the Ethernet space. I'm not doing that, but I do need to make sure that we know what, like a base thing of what we're talking about here. Don't you need to build out your PC out of transistors first? Of course. I totally forgot that. Okay, everybody, we're taking this course online. The very first thing you're doing is you're going to sign up for the Brooks Builds network, or like, yeah, the Brooks Builds network / PC kit. Your vacuum tubes will be arriving in 2 to 4 weeks. Ah! Okay, how about that? All right, we're back. OBS is mad that he didn't explain how it works to let you record this video. Yeah, that's true. So I'm sorry, everybody. That's been happening. Everybody who's regular here has this happen multiple times. It for like 10 streams, it didn't happen. I thought everything was fixed, but then it started happening once per stream again, which really sucks. To fix this, I unplugged the cable and then plugged it back into the microphone, and then Windows didn't recognize it, so I had to do it like 2 more times. So I'm gonna order a new cable. I don't know how long it's gonna take to get to me, so probably like a day or 2. We're gonna try a new cable, and we're gonna see if that works, because if that doesn't fix it, my concern is that it's a new microphone that I need. I don't want to pay for a new microphone. But if I can't just let it do that to you every day without actually trying something. So, okay, I will order a new cable later today, and we'll see if we can get that fixed eventually. We should be good for the rest of the stream so far. Once I do that entire unplug, it doesn't go like haywire until tomorrow sometime. So sorry about that, everybody. And yes, it gets louder. It's like if I'm in the middle of like a, hey, let's like chat about something really loud, it will peak and be very bad. But OBS seems like a really weird for me recently, like with the camera for Zilby constantly crashing. Like, let's see, is it still? Oh yeah, I got my hand right over Zilby, and you can't. He's still facing the same direction. He hasn't really moved, but that sucks. If it worked for a stretch of 10 days, you wouldn't intuitively think that would be a cable unless there's a fault somewhere that's sort of loose and changing the cable's position causes a change. Well, that's... I've seen weird things happen when cables go bad. And I've had this cable for a long time. It could be heat, it could be magnetic stuff, it could be so many different things. I don't know. Let's blame I guess around here we can blame radon. I was gonna say we can also blame solar radiation. Solar flares. There's a solar flare that happens every time. And it wrecks the cable. Yeah, let's blame solar flares. That's a good idea. Most of us are familiar with what a URL. It's that long string that starts with / Actually, that's not even true, right? It starts with like HTTP. Let's do that. / It's like that. Do something like that. But when we're creating an API, it's helpful to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to what makes up a URL before continuing. A URL has several parts. Protocol. So wait, it's is it this is the protocol? Yeah, protocol, domain. So I always called them path, but I think we should now call them segments. You know what? But I do see them as, okay. I think I need to do like path. Okay, the path would be, okay, the path is made up of segments. The path is made up of segments. Okay. The query and then query parameters. The protocol is so as a web API, we'll be dealing with the HTTP and HTTPS protocols exclusively. There are other types of protocols, but we don't need to worry about them now. Oh no! Sorry about that, Arch. Let me see what that was. Oh, of course. Would you include optional port number? Oh yeah, that's a good point. Protocol domain port. That's so yeah, I have links turned off by Nightbot because there's so many we've had people come in and give some really bad links before. Which kind of funny that got caught as a link. So sorry about that. Okay. URL several parts. Okay, so we do this as a web API. We'll be dealing with the HTTP and HTTPS protocols exclusively. There are other types of protocols, but we don't need to worry about them right now. Domain. So the domain is the DNS value. You always thought that it was so weird that anything becomes a link in Twitch chat. Twitch chat does feel pretty aggressive when it comes to linking things out. I wonder if they're using a simple regex for every message and they're just looking for like any number of things dot any number of things dot anything. Like cargo.toml, exactly. Which I think I had to explicitly whitelist in Nightbot because it was causing problems. Like, what if I put a line of code in chat with a method after a function that would be a link in chat? I think we've actually run into that problem before. So the way we've gotten around this historically is we just say, if you want to share code, we have a Discord, go to Discord, join that, and then share the code there. And then I'll copy and paste it and bring it over this way because Discord is much better about that. Also, you can get like, good, colors in Discord. Code blocks. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the domain is the DNS location. Okay, so the domain is where the server is on the internet. So far, we've been working with the domain localhost, which tells our computer, which is just this computer. Here, like my computer. Oh, maybe the same, which is simply, how do I do this like really like in one condensed one word? I don't know how to do that. Like which is simply the computer that the code is running on. Google.com is a server somewhere that Google controls. I feel that if I were to give like little white lies. So when I was teaching in classroom, on the first day I would basically tell all the students, okay, there's going to be quite a few little white lies that I tell, because there are some things where like I only want to go surface level deep, but if I say too much or like the actual like correct thing, that will lead you down a path that's not good to go down right now. So like this would be example of one of those white lies. Is that server something that Google controls? Actually, probably not. It's probably a server that Akamai controls. But no way do I want anybody to be thinking about that if they actually have to read through this because they're new to it. So it's like, okay, it's a thing. You wrote a bash script for that. You run share file name and it puts the contents of that file on your clipboard, pre-wrapped in code block syntax, ready to paste. It even grabs the file extension for color highlighting from the file name. Oh, nice. Oh, that's pretty cool. In Discord, does it actually, I don't know if I actually paid attention. Does it care if you put like the triple backtick Rust in there? Or is it, does it auto detect? Because I know there's auto detectors that will figure out what language it is. I don't think that Slack cares. Oh, it accepts both Rust and RS. I've never tried RS. I usually just do full Rust. And like here, in this markdown for marked, I use full Rust. So language name or file extension. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. The domain. Okay, so then port. So the port is optional. The port is optional. The port is optional for our projects. So I don't know. I'm second guessing this because I don't want to go over like this. Feels like I'm going on a way big tangent, and I don't really want to do that. I really want to. I don't think I want to do like scribe the segments of a URL. I like that more. So like, what are URL segments? Okay, so most of us are familiar with what a URL is. It's that long string with HTTPS, but when we're creating an API, it's helpful to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to what makes up. So maybe something different right here. So I have a meeting apparently in like half an hour. So that's cool. Do I have a link to Discord? I do. I am not very good at like advertising myself. Do have a Nightbot command for it, but I don't like go and say like, hey, join Discord. I think about it every once in a while. I'm not sure if I should. So there's that. And then I actually do have Discord up on like, next to Twitch chat. So I can actually see stuff that happens. But welcome. Thank you for joining. All right. So most of us are familiar with what a URL is. It's that long string. Source that. When it comes to dealing with URLs, when it comes to dealing with URLs in the API, we typically only care about path segments. I guess calling it path segments feels better than just a path or a segment on its own. It's like they're path segments, so it should be like two words together. Comes to dealing with URLs and API, we typically only care about path segments, or query parameters. In this lesson, we're focusing on path segments. Let's change this all. Okay, so the path is the oh cool, thanks Arch. I see that code in Discord. I'll take a closer look at it after I'm done streaming. But yeah, that looks pretty cool. Okay, the path is the... Okay, so let's take the following URL as an example. Yeah, I bet it would be. Okay, so the path is, let's see. Following example, we're gonna do HTTP. Localhost 1000/. What's one of the ones we recently did? We did something like we're doing cat automatic feeders. So let's do like cats 45 feet. Something like I don't know, amount equals small. The path in this case is the cats 45 feet. Each part, so between each slash is called a segment. So you can say that a path is made up of segments. That, I feel like that then feeds into this nicely. Okay, what are path variables? There are several ways that we can pass data into an API server, like Axum. Path variables work for all types of requests, regardless if there is a body or not. Path variables allow us to use... Okay, so now I think I can change this a little bit. Path variables allows us to dynamic set of routes. Maybe I want to like change this around and say like, let's take that URL example above. Above and let's say I'm just going to rewrite that down below a little bit. So let's say that the URL above is for our API that controls automatic at food dispensers. The 45 segment is the ID of the dispenser. Dispenser? There's no spell check in Helix, so this is I think it's OR. Okay, hold on. You know what I can do? I can just type it in here. Dispenser. Oh, it is an ER. Okay. The 45. Oh. And for Zilby to. The 45 segment is the ID of the dispenser. And we'll need that in the route handler for this path, so that we can have it dispense food for the cat. We don't want to create a new route for each possible ID, nor do we want to, so we don't want to manually create a new route for each possible ID, nor do we want to do something clever like write a loop that dynamically creates routes for every possible ID. Instead, we want to have a single route that can extract that ID into a variable. And so let's not use extract, let's use the Axum terminology, capture that ID into a variable. Okay, so got that. 8:21. I've got 10 minutes. Let's see. So we did that. So pretty much done with that. Okay, so we can do this with, so we can tell Axum to capture a segment of the path with a colon. Is there anything else? I want to say that colon is the only capturing tool that we have. That's Actix Web. These will match, but that won't capture. This is the only capture that we have. Okay. So we can tell Axum to capture a segment of the path with a colon. Variable name. For example, we can change the path above to be ID to capture the ID of the feeder dispenser into a variable named ID. So I feel like this is now that thing here. Okay, we can tell Axum to capture a segment of the path with a quote variable name. For example, we could change the path above to be cat's ID feed to capture the ID of the dispenser into a variable named ID. Note, we don't need to tell the router what the type ID is going to be. We'll handle that in the route handler. Okay, so over here, I want to create the route handler first. New, right, so I want source, routes. Let's do feeders. So like, we'll call this like feed cat. Feed cat. Nice. Okay, so we will do routes. So slash cats ID feed. You know what? I feel like this isn't. I should change this URL around. Either I should say that this is, because like this is would be saying this is ID for cat 45, but I really am trying to say this is like dispenser 45. So what I probably want to do is change this to be like dispenser ID feed, something like that. And then we're going to do a post because it just makes sense that that's a post to feed no feed cat in routes feed cat. Why is it routes feed cat? I have mod feed cat up here. Hub async, because I forgot the function. It's fine. There it goes. You've been thinking that for a while? Yeah. Okay, so let's change this. So we want to search for where we have the cats. Cat slash. I want to change this to be. We can do like dispenser 45. There you go. Now it's gonna be consistent. I set the URL above is for API. Okay, so now okay, that works. So dispenser, okay, excellent. Dispenser ID feed, do that. Okay, so then over here, feed cat. Now to get this out, it's gonna be use path. So extract path. I want the ID, which is gonna be a path, and there's gonna be an I like 64, say. And then I want to tracing. Debug path ID is ID. Okay, so if I do that, we should now down here, I'll full screen this. All right, my meeting is in 14 minutes. I have a level 10 meeting in 14 minutes. Okay, so we're playing with Insomnia now. So when I do this request, we're gonna do a post to 3000 dispenser. Let's do 45 feed. And if I send this, we should see that printed out here. I got a 200 okay, but I forgot to tracing subscribe. I forgot to tracing subscribe. So I knew I was missing something. It would work first try. It would have been great. It did work first try, but we couldn't prove it. Oh, come on. All right, now what did I forget? I'm getting a 200 okay. I'm also not getting. Okay, so this is Axum Path. This is Axum Path. I wrote everything, right? You're running. I'm not getting. Let me make sure that this is actually working. We'll do a tracing info. Server running on ports. Okay, I have that server running on port there, which means that my layer is not working. I have this layer, tower HTTP trace layer, new for HTTP. That should do it, right? Okay, server running on port. I'm gonna localhost port 3000. If I do like a get, method not allowed. Okay, so it knows it's matching the route successfully. And it's sending back the thing. It's just the tracing's not doing the thing. It's not crashing. It's compiling successfully. What did I do wrong? We have tracing info like that. We have you running routes mod. Okay, so route, we have the dispenser ID feed. Host. Okay, feed the cat. We have that used there. We have the layer. That should give. So the fact that I'm not getting this logging out, this is what's bothering me. I have tower HTTP features trace. Okay, so that's good there. Tracing subscriber, tracing Tokyo's good. Error and Axum. Okay, so those are all what we expect. I don't have to like run this again, right? Because even if I'm just doing like a get to slash, it should hit that. The order? I don't think the order should matter. Router new, route, and then the layer. So layers work for everything above it. It's basically the opposite of every other router that you'd ever see. It's in reverse order. So The layer applies to everything above it. I do have to call new for HTTP. Sergio, hello. Am I using new shell? I am not using new shell. I'm using just a good old ZSH and OhmyZSH. But everything else is Rust, it feels like. I don't really know if I can give like a good reason why I'm not using new shell either. I just haven't, I don't know, felt like I wanted to try it. Or maybe it's just because that might be too different for when I'm doing like courses or something else. But yeah, the setup is great. I love Zellage, and it makes things like really fun to sort of like lay out, and I constantly want to tweak it. But then I don't also feel the need to tweak it because I can do things live pretty easily. Okay. We're getting to the point where I might have to leave this till tomorrow. You're asking because you're thinking about switching, but you think new shell is really disruptive. So my thought process on this, so when I do courses, I switch to VS Code, and I don't use Zellage. I basically just do basic stuff when I'm like recording my course stuff. New shell might be too much for me to switch back and forth right now, especially if I set it as my default shell. Maybe someday I'll feel more comfortable about having doing all my courses with the Rust tools, and in that case then I can just use new shell. I do remember though that like students got confused when like somebody was using fish, and like it was like, ooh, they started focusing too much on that as opposed to the learning. So I don't know, I'll have to think about it. The last thing I want to do is switch over, use it, and then like love it too much that I don't ever want to not use it. All right. Well, and unfortunately, I have like 7 minutes until a meeting, and it's late if I'm not 5 minutes early. So I actually have 2 minutes until my meeting. So I am going to have to do one of my, I mean, I would say famous, but I think only a few of us here know of it. I'm going to do my emergency stream shutdown. So, no raid. I don't have time to really go look for somebody to raid. So everybody, I do these streams on weekday mornings. I will be back tomorrow morning around 6 a.m. Mountain Time for around this time, usually for another like 10 or 15 minutes, because I don't have meetings this early. And we will fix this and like make this work and figure out what's going on with it. So with that, have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.